The Chemistry of Teams, Part 1. So off we go, and we're going to look at some of the strategies that makes these teams in the HBC, the Human Body Corporation, so incredibly effective. And the first strategy we're going to look at is how teams have objectives. Every team should have objectives to which they work, but how clear are those objectives? And are those objectives aligned to the overall goals of the body? Imagine the body's goal of having energy. You need energy to be able to do whatever you do, to wake up, to work, to enjoy life. We need energy, and not only to survive, but to get the extra energy to thrive. So much the better for us as human beings. And the same can happen in your organization. The same thing can happen in your teams. Now imagine the stomach. It is a team of cells and different systems and layers. That is a team, and it works within the bigger department or the bigger system called the digestive system. I would like to call it the energy supply chain. Why? Because how does the human body get energy? Well, it consumes food, it consumes these big parcels of bulk things, and then it goes in and it's being broken down into smaller pieces. And as it's passed from one team to another, eventually it lands up in the stomach. Now, let's look at the stomach team. The body's goal is to have energy, to supply the body with the right type of energy. And that is the supply chain's objective as well, to be able to convert the bulk packages into very, very small packages where the body can take it up and make it usable. Now, where does the stomach team fit in? The stomach team has these next objectives. Number one, they need to add the right amount of acid to be able to mix it, number two, properly with these packages that's been broken up. And after they've done the acid adding and the proper mixing, it must hand it over to the next team, the downstream team. Now you can see those objectives definitely fits into the overall objectives of the body to supply energy. And the stomach team has a very, very specific function to perform that looks different than the upstream teams and the downstream teams. Now, if the stomach team today decides that they do not like this one objective of passing the mixture down to the downstream team and they pass it to the upstream team, you can imagine what will happen. Yes, most of you have experienced it, heartburn. How much heartburn has your organization experienced due to teams who do not like this one goal that is not aligned to the overall system goals and take matters in their own hand and just pass it wherever they want to? Yes, it creates heartburn, and the body will not be able to thrive when they do that. I'm sure you've all seen these teams who just pursue their own goals, pursue their own strategies for them to look good, for them to have a high performance rating. But what does it help if it's not aligned to the overall goals of the organization? Critically, to get that right and to manage that right. In this one capital project I worked on, we were a team of multidisciplinary engineers. We had to build a reactor that would make interesting chemical conversions. But this reactor was a heavy thing. So the mechanical engineering team had to ensure they understand the weight of the reactor. And the weight information they had to pass over to the civil engineers. And then the civil engineers had to use that calculation of the weight, and they had to design foundations which will support this reactor on the long term. Now, if any of these teams did not consider what was the overall goal. The overall goal was a long-term sustainable reactor that over 10, 20, 50 years will be able to stand stable, that will not crack the foundation, that will be able to operate properly for a very long period of time. That was the overall project objective within budget, within schedule. Now, if the mechanical engineers decided this thing must withstand an atomic bomb attack, can you imagine what would have happened to the schedule? What would have happened to the costs? How heavy that reactor was supposed to be? And that would impact the foundations. And the civil engineer then would have had this job of designing foundations that's 10, 20 times more expensive and will take much longer to construct. Your team objectives must be aligned to the total project objectives. And only then, and understanding it well and understanding the impacts, then the teams become efficient. Then the teams are aligned. Then the teams can have high performance that adds to the bottom line of the project, of the company, and of the department. Teams must have clear objectives. These objectives must be aligned to the overall company goals. And within the team, each and every individual must understand how their tasks, the individual tasks, are aligned to the team objectives, which are aligned to the company goals. Only then will you get synergy. Only then will you get that the 1 + 1 = 5 and not 1.5, as many times we see.